Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fifth Row Tarot. I am here with your reading for the week of May 10th. I hope you're having a wonderful week, day, month. I hope you are finding healing and love and joy and support wherever you find yourself. And yeah, I'm just grateful to have you here and grateful for your presence. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So, again, if you are new to tarot readings, new to tarot, I use tarot as a means of um, unearthing story, unearthing a connection to, well, not unearthing, because I'm actually trying to yes, get in touch with the earth, get in touch with the natural spaces around us, but making that story known on the surface of things. And so a lot of times, tarot will give you an insight, a connection to the deeper story or the story that you might not be quite aware of. I'm going to take my watch off because it keeps beeping. Sorry. Okay, watch. Thank you. What I do on my channel is I do weekly readings, and it's a collective. It's meant to be for the collective. Sometimes it resonates with one person. Sometimes it resonates with the entire collective. Sometimes it's a spiritual reading. Sometimes it's a financial or a health reading, but many times it is a general reading that talks about how we connect with the earth, how we connect with the universe, how we connect with our own deeper spirit, and ways that we can do that. So sometimes I will give you homework on this channel. So if you're looking for journal prompts too, yeah, I love it. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Today, let's see, which deck am I feeling? The Dream Enchantress was really good for me, but I want to go with Wild Unknown. I don't know. I love all my decks, you guys. Let's go with Wild Unknown. This is the Krans tarot deck. And I always list and credit all the decks that I use in my readings because I'm very thankful for the artistry that's involved and the messages that are also taken from those images. So thank you so much, Kim Krans. And let's go ahead and get started. I call on the element of air. I call on the element of fire. I call on the element of water. And I call on the element of earth to come into this reading. I also call on the fifth element, the nature that combines us all, to come into this reading and give the collective a message for the week of May 10th, 2020. I also call on my ascended ancestors, my enlightened and ascended ancestors. I also call on my ascended masters and teachers and my higher self to come into this reading to provide guidance for the collective for the week of May 10th, 2020. Thank you so much, Spirit. Okay. Spirit, do you have any guidance for the collective? Thank you, Spirit. Yes, thank you, Spirit. Do you have any guidance? Thank you, Spirit. Ooh, wow. Do you have any guidance for the week of May 10th? For the week of May 10th, 2020, for the collective. This one wanted to come out too, so I'm going to pull that out. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and flip this over. So I really think this one wanted to come out first, but I wanted to go through while I was shuffling, and then it came out in this order. For the ease of laying this out, I'm going to put this like this. Okay, ooh. All right, so I'm going to take 1 second to just take a look at what we've got here. Okay. So the interesting thing is that we have 3 major arcana out on the table. And the overall that I see is that there is a great change of path going on. Someone is changing their path, changing their life, and it's kind of like I don't want to say a domino effect, but it might feel like a domino effect to some people, where it's like one thing happens and then another and then another, and it's almost like quick succession. Succession. Excuse me, succession. Why would I say succession? Someone might be leaving something in order to go on to something else. Interesting. So let me go ahead and show you the cards. So first we have the Eight of Cups, where we see a mountain in the card and some broken cups at the bottom. Then we have the major arcana of the Strength card, which is represented by a lion with the infinity symbol emblazoned on his head and a flower in his mouth. Next, we have the Wheel of Fortune, which is the 10 card in the major arcana. And this is represented, on first look, it's looks kind of like a dream catcher or a drum made out of sticks and colorful ribbon with an owl sitting at the top. There's the moon up above, and at the bottom of the card is a representation of the sun. Very interesting. Okay. Next, we have the Judgment card. This is the number 20 in the major arcana. And we see here a lot of black birds kind of coming up out of the darkness toward this dove that's kind of shining a light on all the darkness. And then last we have the Sun of Pentacles, which in tarot is the sun is representative of the Knight, which is in the court cards of tarot. And so we see here a deer with his head kind of looking determined almost, looking forward and determined. Interesting. There's kind of like a movement implied here between two spaces. Okay. And then on the bottom of the deck, I always include that as kind of like an overall theme of the reading. We have the Nine of Pentacles. And you can see there are 9 pentacles inside of 4 feathers. So let's start with the Eight of Cups. So this is kind of where I see this message of the beginning of something new, because, when we see an 8, there's there's something that we're moving forward to, but it is something eternal that we're moving toward, something that is lasting, something that is a little more fulfilling than what we have at present. And when we talk about cups, we talk about spiritual energy. So it might be that someone is thinking about something that has, maybe they've received a message, maybe they've been thinking about a change in career. But the biggest thing to me for the 8 of Cups is moving on a spiritual journey. And a lot of us might find ourselves in that space with this, and wherever we are, we're finding ourselves thinking about, we can think about the material, but, everybody pretty much is kind of in the same space of thinking about the material. But some of us have had the time to maybe rest and, think about all the kind of things that maybe have stacked up over time that, were unsustainable. And those things had to fall down for us to figure out that there were more important things for us to look forward to. And that's where we see the mountain in the background here, because it implies we're moving away from these cups to climb bigger mountains, to meet bigger spiritual goals or internally based goals. So this is also where I see someone might be changing something. Someone might be, or not so much changing, but more importantly, leaving something behind. That's the most important thing, because it's one thing to change, but if we don't change and leave something behind, are we really moving forward? Are we really moving on? Okay. So the next card we have up is the Strength card. And Strength is pretty much, it's kind of, it speaks for itself a lot of the times. I mean, you've got this lion with the rose in his mouth. And, if the lion doesn't have a rose in its mouth, it's probably going to bite, it's probably going to roar. But this one is quiet, and it's almost as if it's offering you this rose. And behind it, you've got the sun shining. This is, not only does the Strength card talk about strength, it talks about courage. And it's really important when we look at, and it's also interesting. I mean, this is basically like one of the cards in the tarot deck that kind of just speaks for itself, because this card also stands for a Leo. This person is probably, if it's a person that you're dealing with, it could be a Leo. But if it's you are probably finding the courage to make a lasting change for yourself. And that change involves leaving something behind. Now, whether that is a job or relationship, whatever it is that has been in your spirit, you will find the strength and courage to move on. And not only that, when we talk about the number 11 in numerology, 11 is it's a master number, where we have all this manifesting ability. Because even though, yes, we've got broken cups in this 8 of Cups, but broken cups, I believe, it's kind of indicative of broken promises. And sometimes we have to leave those in the past. When we talk about, when people, it's one thing to have expectations of people, it's another thing to make a promise to someone. And if someone or something like a job or something has broken too many promises in the past, it's time to move on. It's time to have the courage to leave it behind. Because this 11 talks about giving you that power, because you take that step away from broken promises, away from brokenness. Okay. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune. I'm going to set this over here. The Wheel of Fortune. I really like the Wheel of Fortune card. This is 10, which stands for, in tarot, stands for the completion of something, or yeah, it's 10 is a completion number. Sorry, my watch is going off. It's crazy. 10 is a completion number in tarot. And however, if we look at the placement of the Wheel of Fortune, it's between the sun and the moon. And it's almost as if we're turning, you know, when we have the Wheel of Fortune card, we have the ability to turn something around. And so the Wheel of Fortune is saying, hey, take action. You have this courage, you have this ability to move forward. Move the Wheel of Fortune in your favor by taking a step forward. Yeah, this is kind of another one of those kind of self self-explained cards, but it's so beautiful to see it. Yeah, especially in a reading like this, it's just beautiful to see it. Okay. All right. So now we have Judgment. And I love that Judgment is here, because I mean, a lot of us hear Judgment and we might think, hopefully y'all can see that. So a lot of us see Judgment, or we hear the word judgment. Some of us might, like for me, I definitely still have this thing where I'm like, oh, I hear the word judgment, I instantly think, oh, I'm such a bad person. You know what I mean? Like, but this is that's not what the Judgment card is about. The Judgment card is essentially calling us into new life. It's almost like a siren's call in this reading. Because why would you move forward out of and leave these things behind unless you were being called to new life? Like there was a passion calling to you. There was unless there was something deep within you that was saying this is going to be worth it. When you leave this thing, it's not about the things that you leave behind. It is about the thing that is calling you forward, the thing that is calling you to good health, the thing that is calling you into eternal love, as indicated by the dove here, something that is calling you into a deep love, a lasting love that may have, you may not have, you may not have had that before. And that's something that you truly and deeply want for yourself. So, you can leave broken promises in the past. And here, honestly, I just heard the words yours and someone else's. So even the promises that you've made to yourself that you've broken, you can leave those in the past and make new promises to yourself. Wow. Wow. That is beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm just taking it all in. So, it's this Judgment is also a card to me of alchemy, because when we turn our own darkness into light, we under we start off with the understanding, the point, that key point of alchemy is when you turn something into gold, right? Be it, some other metal, any, something, that alchemy. But the point I think that a lot of people miss in this idea of alchemy is the understanding that what we had in ourselves was already the starting point of light to begin with, already the starting point of gold. What we had already was already precious. Do you know what I'm saying? So that the darkness that is in the cards represented here as the, the darker birds, the darkness is alchemized, changed into divine love that encompasses all this love that is calling forward, calling forth. And I say divine, but I also mean the divine that is within us, the divine that is in our hearts, the divine that is in our um, the divine that is in our souls. Whether or not you believe in souls and things like that, but there is a light within us, or there may even be, you know, what is that? Like a flash of thought, a revelation that happens in your own thinking that says, "Oh my goodness." The thing that I was holding so closely, right? Or the thing that I wanted to hold to me so closely, the thing that is causing me the most hurt, I can actually re-envision it as something that is gold, something worthy, something beautiful for me. And it's that flash of revelation where you understand that you can have the life that you want to have the happiness that you want to have, but you have to be willing to leave broken promises. You have to be willing to leave things behind, leave the broken promises behind, leave the empty emotions behind, because there's nothing there. Okay, so the last card that we have up is the Son of Pentacles. And the Son of Pentacles, I really do love that this card has shown up, because this is the Knight of Pentacles. And while in the court cards, the page is all about, oh, I'm sending a message about Pentacles. The Page of Pentacles would be like, I'm sending you a message, like a youthful message. And, it might not be, something hardcore. I don't know. However, the Son of Pentacles is I want to say, not so much the bearer, but brings evidence of a promise with the pentacle. And in pentacles, we talk about the earth, we talk about our resources, we talk about, where we live, how we get to live, our jobs, our talents, the things, that essentially are our resources that we live off of, or that we co-create with. So it could be dealing with money, especially because, pentacles are coins, is basically in tarot. So not only are we moving away from broken promises with this calling and this desire and this want and this need for new life, we are also seeing that we will be taken care of. We are seeing evidence that we will be taken care of in that movement, by changing our fortune, by having courage, by listening to the inner call, right? We are looking at this, there is evidence now of being able to care for ourselves in this new space, and others caring for us and supporting us. Whoo, y'all. Oh my goodness. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. So at the bottom of the deck, we have the Nine of Pentacles. And if that doesn't just confirm, abundance. Now, I will say that the Nine of Pentacles is essentially about our ability to care for ourselves and our independence and our ability to take care of ourselves and depend on ourselves, so that we don't depend on another person for, our money or our income or our resources. So this reading could definitely be for someone who maybe is looking at like a new career, someone who is looking at a new calling, someone who is looking at new relationship, but definitely most importantly, someone who is looking at new relationship with their self, like their self, their self. Is that correct grammatically? Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. But someone who is essentially looking inside of themselves, um, and wants to depend only on themselves. And I actually, it's so funny because this morning I was having a conversation with a friend, where we were talking about, being this, belonging to ourselves and belonging to the universe. We're talking about, like, I believe it was a Maya Angelou interview that we were discussing. And, I told her, I was like, the best thing for me, like when I come home at the end of the day, whatever kind of day I've been having, is hearing the phrase, I belong deeply to myself. It just feels, like I challenge you to try that today, like, or try that like at some point in the week. When you get home at the end of the day, and whatever kind of day you've been having, in order to come home not to your own house, but to your own self, at the end of that day, just say to yourself, I belong deeply to myself, and see how that feels. See how that feels in your body. See how that feels, um, inside of you, inside of your heart. Do you feel it all the way down to your toes? Do you feel, as soon as you feel it, do you kind of just like sink into your own being? Do you feel closer to the earth? Do you feel closer to your purpose? Do you feel closer to your own nature? Have you reignited your own passion by saying that or by feeling that? Mm, wow. Mm. I'm sorry, I'm just taking a minute because that, uh, mm, beautiful, beautiful. Um, let's see. I would love to give you a guidance. How much? Okay, I'm at 27 minutes. I want to do a Rumi Oracle. Yeah, I want to do a Rumi Oracle. Let me do that. So, Rumi Oracle Guidebook. This is from Alana Fairchild and Blue Angel Publishing. This is one of my favorite decks. And also, I really just love Rumi. So I'm going to ask Spirit if they have any guidance that might help the person that is learning to belong deeply to themselves, the person that is leaving behind broken promises, changing their fortune with courage, being called to new life, and understanding that there is evidence here. They are being provided with evidence. You know what? And you can also even do this. You can ask Spirit and ask the universe for evidence that making this forward move will be worth it. But you also have to be, and that's the other thing too, is that when you ask for something, you have to be open to receiving. And it may not always be, the message or the evidence that we think it's going to come in. It might not be always be the way. It might not look like it. It might not sound. That's it. It might not sound or look like or feel like It might not at all feel the way that you think it will, or be the way that you think it will. You have to be open. You have, when you ask for something, you have to be willing to receive. Okay, Spirit, can you give us a message for this reading? Can you give us some guidance, some Rumi guidance for this reading? Awesome. Okay, I'll put this down here. So we have Sacred Soul Sister, which is the number 37 card in this deck. And of course, 7 plus 3 rounds up to 10, which is also our Wheel of Fortune card. So you may get your evidence through this Wheel of Fortune. This might be the way that you change your Wheel of Fortune. You turn the Wheel of Fortune toward this evidence. Okay, so let me go ahead and get a reading for you. And this will probably, just FYI, this will probably be another 10 minutes of this reading, just to give you a time stamp on that. Okay, Sacred Soul Sister. When you are conscious, a cloud of sadness surrounds you. When you are beyond consciousness, the moon rests in your arms. When you are conscious, the beloved moves out of your reach. When you are beyond consciousness, the ecstasy of love moves your way. When you are conscious, you are depressed like fall. When you are beyond consciousness, the winter cold feels like spring. All your wavering is due to your longing to be stable. Look for instability until you become stable. Rumi. That is beautiful, by the way. And it, again, that consciousness and beyond consciousness speaks to, again, this judgment card, this and the turn again, the turning of the Wheel of Fortune, but also this alchemy. That's the beginning of alchemy. Okay, so this is where Alana Fairchild starts writing. I love you. I am your other self. I am with you always, your partner on this soul journey. I am the you that you do not see. I am the you that speaks through intuition and instinct. I whisper and sing and shout my crazed truth telling to you through your dreams, through your body. I am the you that is wise, that trusts in life, that knows. I am the you that sees reality rather than appearance. I am the you that knows how to be happy and free. There is a valid point of view that we travel this path of our life journey alone. Our deepest descents into the psyche happen alone. We meet death alone and come into the world alone. And yet there is a vaster perspective that we are never alone, that it would be impossible to really be alone. We are connected to all of life, and there is no such thing as being alone in reality, only in limited and temporary perception. As if such community were not enough, there is a partner, an ally, who journeys with you from birth to death and beyond, again and again. You have a sacred sister, a sister of your soul. She weaves the story of truth through dreams and insights that come upon you as if from nowhere. Perhaps they drop into your mind or seem to erupt from within you, but that is her talking to you, demanding or reassuring, depending on what the occasion best calls for at that moment. Her truths may seem overly dramatic, so you may discount them as workings of an overactive imagination, or perhaps her truth tales are so subtle you dismiss them as meaningless, fleeting fancy. The wise ones know, however, that the truths of the Sacred Soul Sister are powerful, relevant, and worthy of time and attention. They know her oftentimes strange and startling offerings hold the keys to unlock entire worlds, to open up new realities, and to transform the nature of our existence, from the deepest and most esoteric spiritual levels to the most palpable, practical, daily realities of our living bodies in the physical world. Your Sacred Soul Sister is your partner in the consciousness. Make no mistake, she is you. She is just a part of you so great You cannot always see her from your conscious mind. It is sort of like the eye of the dog trying to see its whole self, which is a bit tricky, for as it moves to see its rear, so the rear is moved along too. So rather than through direct perception, the sacred soul sister is met through reflection. She can be received in those moments of rest where great ideas are born. She is a genius, you see, vastly creative and inspired. Her worlds are those we access in sleep and in meditation, or absorbing engagement in activity where the mind can relax and drop into realities far more vast than those of daily life and be replenished. To tap into her wisdom, to distill a teaching from the fragmented memory of a dream or a subtle feeling experienced in meditation requires that you walk with her gait and not the fast paced, forward moving canter of your conscious and the intellectual mind. Her gait is meandering and apparently unstudied, yet she is deep in concentration, to feel for truth of movement, to allow for what is emerging to express itself through her. And she is listening rather than demanding to know, to force, to speak, and to direct. To receive her genius and benefit most fully from it requires a willingness to surrender logic and open up to inspiration, to become empty, to let the mind soften, and to become receptive, open, and permeable. She delivers questions that lead to answers, but not according to demands issued by an insecure and fearful mind. She offers what is genuinely needed and answers the deepest questions of the heart. She is trustworthy, this sister. She cannot betray truth. Therefore, she can be relied upon as a faithful way shower for the heart. So to commune with her, wise as that impulse is, requires that you learn the ways of her world and the strange symbolic language she speaks. She will never tell you what you already know. Why be so inefficient? No, she prefers to educate, elucidate, intrigue, and beguile as you are drawn into far more beautiful, powerful, and helpful truths. So, in her world and in her language, you must suspend your need to immediately understand. Let yourself absorb the imagery, the feelings, and the possibilities, to dwell, ponder, and be permeated by the wisdom. The appearance of a horse may signify your own spiritual being, and the appearance of you may signify a false sense of identity, and not the real you at all. You may see desert landscapes and moonlit nights in your dreams. When so much inner growth is happening, you will soon bloom like the springtime. You may dream of charging up hills with great energy, when in your physical world you can barely muster enough strength to get out of bed in the morning. What does this all mean? Ugh. This apparent contrary, world upside down, nothing is as it seems, symbolism. The meaning is the communication, and the communication is received in repose and reflection and quietness and rest. And you must trust. Trust her and trust yourself. When something needs to be known, so it shall be. This is necessary, so much less than what we expect. Your lack of knowing is not ignorance. Your unknowingness is your bowing to life with trust. She has come to you through this oracle to remind you that everything is all right, that she has your back, no matter what appearances may seem to be to your more limited dog's eye consciousness in the light of day. She is guiding you with her wider knowledge through circumstances and situations that are ultimately going to free you into a greater love than you have ever known. No matter whether you feel like a rat in a maze or a bewildered drunk stumbling through the labyrinth back alleyways, trying to find your way home again. No matter how out of control life may seem, she's letting you know all is proceeding just as it should, and that her will shall manifest. Her will is your wholeness, your completion. Her will must manifest and shall, because her will is nature, it is growth, it is God. She is God in you now. Remember that, and you'll realize, if you don't mind the ending being told before the last chapter, that everything's going to be okay. This oracle comes with particular guidance also. You know something, deep in your bones, without knowing how or why, or without particular reason, you just know. It doesn't make sense, but you know. It may be joy that you know. It may be that you know to avoid a certain situation. It may be that something is going to work out beautifully, despite appearances to the contrary at a particular moment. It may be that you are meant to take a certain path. You just know. This oracle comes as a confirmation that your knowing, mysterious as it is your sacred soul sister talking through you. Trust it and act, or not, accordingly. So here is where the sacred honoring ritual comes in, where you can now basically have this sacred soul sister connection. And so I will read that reading, but I will give you a second to find a place to kneel or sit comfortably, preferably on the ground or somewhere you feel grounded and anchored to the earth. That could be on the floor if it's practical. Okay, are you there? All right. So when you're kneeling or sitting, wherever you are, very comfortably, rest your hands on the ground or on your legs. Say aloud, I call upon the sacred sister of my soul, the shadow priestess of wisdom, in the temple of love. You guide me to love, and under the merciful grace and protection of Rumi, who loves me unconditionally, our relationship is one of respect, care, and divine guidance. May I be blessed with receptivity, receiving, right, to your genius and capacity for the grace of growth. So be it. Rest for a few moments. You have finished your ritual. All right, guys, that's your reading for the week of May 10th. I hope you have a beautiful week, and I hope you are, again, enjoying time with loved ones. I hope you are open and receiving love as well as giving it, or giving and receiving love in ways that you need. All right. I will see you next week. Thank you.